Good morning, I'm Shaquille Wiley and I will be presenting for Group 3. Our main company is Daimler AG. Daimler AG is a German multinational automotive corporation headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany. Daimler offers transport items such as travel cars, commercial vehicles, and financial administrations. A couple of examples of cars that they offer are Mercedes-Benz, Freightliner, Fuso, Western Star, and Thomas Built buses. The name changed to Daimler Chrysler AG on June 17th in the year of 1998. Gottlieb Daimler equipped the first ignition engine in a street vehicle. He then connected to Carl Benz, who was granted a patent for a three-wheel car in the year of 1844. That creation created the Benz & Company. Today, our competition is BMW AG. This German company, which is also a German company, produces cars and motorcycles. This is headquartered in Munich, Germany. An example of cars that BMW present are the BMW, of course, the Mini, and the Rolls-Royce. This was named by BMW on the year of 1916. Later, it was forced to stop creating aircraft engines, in the year of 1918. Furthermore, BMW, they started creating automobiles in the year of 1928, and from there on, BMW and Daimler AG has been in competition. My colleague will give you more information on the ratios and more about our competition.
Hello, I'm Karan Hatchett. I'll be presenting the ratios. We have about 5 ratios. The first one is current ratio. The second is quick ratio. The third is debt ratio. The fourth is inventory ratio. And the last one is asset turnover ratio. And dealing with current ratio, to describe current ratio is the higher the current ratio, then higher the liquidity, which means how quickly they can turn assets to cash. And right now, the company Daimler shows a positive increase since 2012, starting at 1.15% with an increase of about 6, and that's going to 1.21% compared to BMW, which is 1.04, which has a decrease, and now it's 0.98%. And next is the quick ratio. Quick ratio is businesses that can turn over cash to pay for their expenses. And for instance, Daimler has a positive increase from 2012 to 2016 from 0.85% to 0.9%, comparing to BMW with 0.84% decreasing to 0.81%. That's a 0.03 decrease. And when we're recording quick ratio is cash, marketable securities, and accounts receivable. You collect the sum, and you divide by the liabilities. Next, we have the total debt ratio. Higher the debt ratio infers that it's a more conspicuous money-related danger. They might be moving towards bankruptcy or towards some dangerous financial situations. And in comparison, BMW in 2012 was at 0.77%, and it decreased to 0.75%. And it shows that is positive for it to decrease. That means debt decreases compared to Daimler, which was 0.72 in 2012, and it has risen 0.76%. And that's a 0.04 increase, and that's not so good. We want to keep the debt ratio as low as possible. And inventory ratio is the relationship between the inventory that is sold and the exchange, how quickly they can replace that inventory that has been sold. And for BMW, they have an increase from 6.31% to 6.37%. That's a 0.06 increase compared to Daimler, which was 5.01%, and it decreased to 4.78%. Lastly, I'll talk about the asset turnover ratio. The asset turnover ratio measures the revenue generated by an asset, which means if I buy this asset, how quickly can it generate cash? And in comparison, BMW starting in 2012 was 0.58%, and it dropped to 0.50%. And Daimler, which was 0.70%, and it also decreased to 0.63%. And these companies are fairly decreasing, which means they're not turning over their assets as positively as they should be. And also, since both of them have decreased since 2012, that means that the assets that have been purchased are less in value now. So thank you. That's my presentation.
My name is Chiedun Yeri. I'm in Group 5, and today we're going to be analyzing the ratios between Mercedes-Benz and BMW in both time series analysis, and cross-section analysis. Time series meaning over time, and cross-section meaning between two companies. Here are the list of ratios that we're going to be looking at. Along with their formulas, we have current ratio, quick ratio, days sales outstanding, total debt ratio, and inventory turnover ratio, total asset turnover ratio, time interest earned, total profit margin, operating profit margin, net profit margin, return on assets, and return on equity. And this is going to be compared with the time span from 2012 to 2016. All right, and we have their formulas listed right here. We have current ratio. The formula is current assets over current liabilities, and so on and so forth listed along with it. We look at Mercedes-Benz from 2012 to 2016. Their current ratio has actually increased. Here we see a point. Here in 2012, we see their current ratio to be 1.15, and we have a 0.4 increase. We have a 0.04 increase to 1.119, and there's we can see a sequence here. We decreases by 0.04, and another increase by 0.04. But in 2016, they have an increase of 0.01, which brings their current ratio up to 1.21. And we go over to BMW right here. We see that in 2012, their ratio was 1.04, and then it stayed stagnant until 2013, dropped down to 0.92, and kept on dropping, dropped down to 0.94, and increased back up just a little bit to 0.98. All right, and then we're going to skip all this and go down to the total debt ratio. We see in 2012, you have a 0.72 debt ratio in Mercedes, and in 2016, it goes up to a 0.76 total debt ratio. We look at BMW, 0.77, I believe that is, yes, 0.77 return, total debt ratio, and in 2016 it's 0.75. So it dropped down 0.2 in between 2012 and 2016. And if we compare both companies together at a cross-section analysis, we see that there's only a 0.01 increase in Mercedes-Benz total debt ratio to BMW. All right, and let's go down to total. When we look at their net profit margin, as we see net profit margin is net income over sales. Right? In 2012, we see that they
they had a net profit margin of 5.68, and that increased in 2013 to 7.39%, and in 2016 they had a net profit margin of 5.72, which is pretty good. It's pretty good, I believe, for their company. But let's look at BMW. BMW started off low at 6.67%, and increased over time to 7.34% in 2016, which is approximately a 0.67% increase in their net profit margin. And then return on assets. We see the return on assets formula as operating income before interest and taxes over total assets. And we look as of 2012, Mercedes had a return on assets of 5.29%, which is pretty all right. And then it kept on increasing over the year, increasing over time to 5.30, which wasn't much of an increase, just a 0.1 increase. It wasn't much of an increase from 2012 to 2016, like I said. And in BMW, they dropped. As you can see, they started off with a 6.30 at 2012, and dropped down to 4.98% in 2016, which is a 1.32% drop in their return on assets, and that's not very good. That could be due to the economy and reduction of sales and all of that, and things like that, things of that nature. Return on equity, we see the formula here is net income over shareholders' equity. When we look at from 2012, you see that Mercedes had a 13.39%, which increased to a 14.42%. That's definitely what shareholders want to see. Increase in an increase in their return on equity. And in Mercedes-Benz, we see that they started off, they had a 16.76% return on equity at 2012, and that dropped down to a 14.49% at 2016. So now it's definitely something investors want to see. So we see from this analysis, comparing these 2 years, 2016 and 2016 over here in Mercedes and BMW, we see that Mercedes is doing pretty. BMW was actually doing pretty well, much better than Mercedes in 2016, as they had a 14.49% return on equity, and Mercedes-Benz only had a 14.42 return on equity at 2016, which is just a 0.07% lower than BMW. And as we go on and we compare both companies together, we see that Mercedes-Benz had a higher current ratio than BMW at 2016. But if we look at it from year to year, we see Mercedes-Benz has always been higher from 2012 to 2016, always been higher than BMW in their current ratio. And so overall, we can basically say that these companies are pretty much competing. They're not really at a stagnant base. They keep on going up and down due to their introduction of new technology, new features in their vehicles and things of that nature. Once again, my name is Chidu Samoliniere. I'm on Group 5 comparing both Mercedes and BMW. Thank you.